In the dim glow of a candlelit room, Michael knelt, whispering a prayer he barely understood. The air thickened, metallic and electric, making his chest tighten. Shadows crawled unnaturally across the walls, twisting with intent. A deep vibration shook the floorboards beneath him, and the single flame of the candle erupted into cold white fire. Michael froze as a tall shifting silhouette emerged, edges glimmering like molten silver. The air was still, yet heavy with unspoken weight. A voice resonated directly in his chest. "You have been seen." He staggered, every memory of his past flooding forward, as if the room itself held a mirror to his soul. In that instant, the unknown presence made him feel seen, judged, and irrevocably changed. Michael staggered back, heart hammering, trying to make sense of the presence. The room felt larger now, echoing with memories he had long buried. He caught sight of a woman across the room, her eyes calm yet piercing, silently observing. Something about her gaze unnerved him, as though she knew everything he had tried to forget. She didn't speak, yet he felt her words resonate deep within his soul. Each step he took toward understanding brought confusion and fear, as if the room itself was a portal to truths he wasn't ready to face. Michael's breaths came shallow, each one laden with a mixture of awe, dread, and an unshakable sense of being exposed. As Michael's eyes adjusted, he noticed faint inscriptions on the walls, glowing softly, like messages from another realm. His mind raced, trying to decipher them, but the words felt personal, directed solely at him. The woman's eyes followed every movement, unblinking, patient, yet heavy with judgment. Michael spoke aloud, though he knew she wouldn't answer. Who are you?" Silence, yet the room seemed to whisper, echoing his own fears and memories back at him. A cold breeze brushed past, scattering candle wax, and for the first time, Michael felt the weight of something larger than life pressing upon his chest. Michael moved closer to the woman, drawn inexplicably despite fear. Each step felt like crossing a threshold into his own past. She remained silent, yet he sensed empathy and understanding emanating from her. Shadows played across her face, revealing faint expressions of sorrow and recognition. Michael's mind flashed with fragmented memories, mistakes, regrets, moments he had tried to bury. The room pulsed softly with energy, synchronizing with his heartbeat. He whispered, I don't understand." Yet in her silence, the truth of his life was laid bare, leaving him both terrified and strangely comforted. Michael finally stopped mere feet away. The room was silent but vibrant, charged with a presence beyond comprehension. The woman's gaze never wavered, silent yet absolute, showing him pieces of himself he had never admitted. Memories of childhood mistakes, lost love, moments of cowardice and fleeting kindness all streamed through his mind. He realized she wasn't threatening, she was revealing. A strange relief washed over him as he accepted the inevitability of her insight. I've been seen," he murmured, surrendering to the weight and clarity of truth. The next morning, Michael sat alone in his apartment, sunlight filtering through half-closed blinds. His mind was restless, replaying the previous night's encounter with the woman. He felt exposed, as if every hidden thought had been uncovered. Anxiety gnawed at him, yet a strange calm lingered beneath the tension. Memories long suppressed rose unbidden, intertwining with flashes of hope and regret. Michael whispered to himself, "Why her? Why me?" The room seemed to breathe with him, shadows stretching and contracting with each heartbeat. He reached for a photograph of his childhood, feeling the weight of forgotten promises and choices that led him here. A deep yearning for understanding gnawed at his chest, urging him to seek answers he didn't yet know how to find. Michael decided to leave his apartment, wandering the quiet streets in search of clarity. The city felt unusually still, as though time had slowed to mirror his inner state. Every passerby seemed distant, their voices muffled, their motions blurred. He noticed a small chapel tucked between brick buildings, its doors slightly ajar. Drawn by instinct rather than reason, he stepped inside. The scent of incense and aged wood enveloped him. Light streamed through stained glass, casting fragmented colors across the floor. Michael sank into a pew, shoulders tense, eyes scanning the room. He realized that while the woman had revealed truths he could not deny, the answers he sought might lie in confronting his own faith and understanding. Inside the chapel, Michael felt a strange connection to the space, as if unseen hands guided his gaze. A gentle voice whispered, though no one was present, "Face yourself first." He closed his eyes, and memories swirled. Arguments with friends, moments of cowardice, fleeting kindness he had ignored. His chest tightened with guilt and sorrow. The woman's silent presence echoed in his mind, her gaze replaying every misstep and hidden truth. Michael realized that judgment was not from her but from himself. The path to understanding would require confronting these buried emotions, acknowledging pain, and allowing forgiveness to seep through the cracks of his conscience. As Michael opened his eyes, he noticed a figure near the altar. A man with silver hair and a calm presence, the faithful guide. He exuded patience, wisdom, and subtle authority. The guide's gaze was steady, kind, yet probing. Michael felt an invisible pull to approach him, as if the man held the answers he needed. "You seek understanding," the guide said softly, voice echoing through the chapel. Michael nodded, unable to speak. The guide gestured toward a candle-lit corner, a space inviting reflection. Michael walked slowly, each step feeling heavier and lighter simultaneously, as though the weight of his past and the promise of insight intertwined. The moment was intimate yet universal, a threshold between fear and awakening. Michael knelt beside the faithful guide, watching as he lit a small candle. The flame flickered, mirroring the fragility of Michael's inner state. "Each light holds a memory," the guide said, "and each memory a lesson." Michael absorbed the words, his mind sifting through events of shame, loss, and hope. The room seemed to hum with quiet energy, the weight of the unseen presence still lingering. Michael understood that his journey would not be simple nor immediate. Yet in this silent, sacred space, he felt the first glimmer of clarity and courage to face his past, guided not by fear, but by the quiet insistence of truth and the possibility of redemption. Michael left the chapel with a restless mind, the city streets echoing with distant voices and his own racing thoughts. Each step reminded him of mistakes he could not undo. His reflection in shop windows distorted, merging with flashes of his past, arguments, betrayals, and fleeting moments of kindness he had overlooked. Doubt gnawed at him. He questioned whether understanding could truly bring peace. Then, in the corner of a dimly lit alley, he saw a familiar figure, the skeptic whose sharp gaze seemed to pierce through his defenses. "You really believe all that?" the skeptic asked, voice dripping with doubt. Michael faltered, realizing the path to clarity would not be free of opposition. The skeptic's presence unsettled Michael, forcing him to confront the fragile foundation of his beliefs. "Do you really think seeing the past changes anything?" the skeptic challenged, stepping closer. Michael's chest tightened as memories surfaced, the choices he avoided, the lies he told himself. The weight of exposure pressed down on him. Yet he felt an inner pull, a stubborn urge to trust what he had glimpsed with the woman's silent guidance. He realized this confrontation was necessary. Doubts could no longer be ignored. Michael's fingers brushed the edge of his coat pocket, clutching the photograph from his apartment, a tangible anchor amid uncertainty. Michael turned away, wandering into an abandoned courtyard behind the city's buildings. The wind whispered, carrying fragments of forgotten voices. Here in isolation he confronted memories unspoken, the friend he had betrayed, the love he neglected, the courage he never summoned. A shadow flickered across the wall, and he sensed the antagonist's presence, a dark oppressive force representing fear and doubt. Michael's legs trembled as he whispered, "I can't run from this." Every heartbeat reverberated like a drum, a reminder that the confrontation with his inner darkness was inevitable. This crucible of fear and reflection marked the beginning of a pivotal internal battle. The antagonist's presence grew heavier, pressing on Michael's chest like a physical weight. Dark tendrils of shadow seemed to reach for him, pulling memories into focus with sharp clarity. He recalled moments of selfishness, lies, and missed opportunities, each memory a dagger in his chest. Panic surged, but so did determination. Michael squared his shoulders and whispered, "I will not be defined by fear." A soft glow appeared at his feet, subtle but steady, a reminder of the woman's silent guidance and the faithful guide's wisdom. He realized that to move forward, he must confront both external doubt and internal darkness simultaneously. Michael took a deep breath, closing his eyes as if to draw strength from the unseen. The shadows retreated slightly, and clarity pierced the fog of doubt. He acknowledged every flaw, every misstep, without judgment, and felt a spark of resilience ignite within. The skeptic's voice, the antagonist's pressure, and the woman's silent presence merged into a singular awareness. Truth cannot be escaped, only faced. Michael opened his eyes, the courtyard transformed in his perception, no longer oppressive but revealing paths forward. He knew the journey would be arduous, but for the first time, he felt prepared to navigate it with courage and honesty. Michael wandered through the city streets at night, lost in thought, when a sudden light caught his attention. A narrow alley glimmered with ethereal luminance, unlike anything he had seen. Drawn by instinct, he stepped closer and saw the woman from his past encounters standing silently in the glow. Her presence was commanding yet serene, and for the first time she spoke, not with words, but through a profound gesture that revealed images from his life. Michael staggered, witnessing scenes he had long buried, moments of innocence, betrayal, and love, all interwoven in a tapestry he could neither deny nor escape. His chest tightened as revelation swept over him like a tide, leaving him trembling in awe and fear. The woman extended her hand, and the air shimmered with images of Michael's life, decisions he regretted, moments of bravery, and acts of unnoticed kindness. Each scene played in rapid succession, a silent movie only he could perceive. Michael staggered, overwhelmed, feeling the weight of every choice press upon him. Tears pricked his eyes as he realized that understanding his past was not a punishment, but a revelation. The woman's calm gaze anchored him. She was neither judge nor accuser, only a mirror reflecting truth. Michael whispered, I see now." And the alley seemed to pulse gently with acknowledgement, as if the city itself recognized his awakening. Suddenly, a wind swept through the alley, carrying whispers of forgotten voices. The antagonist appeared, dark and imposing, attempting to drown Michael in fear and doubt. Shadows stretched and coiled, threatening to engulf him. But Michael's gaze remained fixed on the woman, whose serene presence radiated strength. In that instant he understood, the darkness could not define him. He raised his hands, steadying himself, and allowed the light from the woman to mingle with the shadows. The oppressive energy receded slightly, and Michael realized that confrontation with his inner darkness was no longer avoidance, it was integration. The woman moved closer, her eyes meeting Michael's with unspoken intensity. Memories of past regrets now appeared as lessons rather than burdens. He realized he had been resisting truth, fearing exposure, yet now clarity was liberated. The city around him seemed to shimmer, walls and pavements reflecting fragments of his journey. Michael's heartbeat slowed as understanding settled within him. He could not change the past, but he could honor it, learn from it, and move forward. A profound sense of acceptance washed over him, tempered by the weight of responsibility to live consciously, aware of every action. Michael finally stepped fully into the glow, no longer shrinking from truth. The woman's presence expanded, encompassing both him and the alley, as if revealing the universe's gentle insistence on understanding. He felt a connection with every memory, every choice, and every lesson his life had imparted. In silence, she guided him to recognize that revelation is not punishment but a path to awakening. Michael's chest lifted, eyes steady, and he whispered softly, "I understand. I accept." The alley pulsed with subtle light, signaling a turning point. The journey toward integration and clarity had begun. Michael's resolve was tested as he stepped into the abandoned cathedral at the edge of the city. Shadows stretched long across the cracked stone floor, heavy with the weight of untold fears. The antagonist, dark and twisting, emerged fully, pressing down on Michael's heart like a storm. Michael felt every moment of weakness, doubt, and regret intensify, threatening to crush him. Yet he remembered the woman's unwavering gaze, and the faithful guide's teachings. "I will face you," Michael whispered to the darkness. Every heartbeat echoed in the cavernous space, a drumbeat signaling confrontation. The antagonist surged forward, tendrils of shadow coiling around Michael's legs, pulling at his thoughts and memories. Panic and despair rose, but Michael's hands shot forward, steadying himself against invisible forces. Images of his failures, betrayals, and moments of cowardice swirled violently around him, threatening to overwhelm. Yet each memory also revealed moments of kindness, courage, and resilience he had ignored. He realized that the darkness was not invincible, it thrived on denial and avoidance. "I acknowledge you, but you will not define me," he said firmly, voice echoing through the cathedral, shaking the dust from the walls. A soft glow emerged from Michael's chest, expanding outward, pushing against the darkness. The antagonist recoiled, hissing with unseen fury, while the spectral presence of the woman appeared behind him, calm and radiant. Michael felt the weight of every decision he had made, the pain he had carried, and the lessons he had learned converge into clarity. He embraced his fear rather than rejecting it, and the shadows faltered. Light and darkness danced across the cathedral floor, colliding yet balancing. Michael's voice grew stronger, commanding the space around him. "I am not afraid. I am whole." The antagonist's form shattered into fragments of shadow, dissipating into the air. Michael's breath came in heavy, steadying gasps. The cathedral, once oppressive, now felt open, alive with subtle light reflecting through stained glass. The woman's presence lingered, silent but reassuring. Michael knelt, placing his hands on the stone floor, grounding himself in the reality of victory. He understood that confrontation was not about destruction, but integration, acknowledging darkness, embracing truth, and claiming agency over his life. Relief and empowerment surged, leaving him trembling yet unshakably centered. Michael rose slowly, every movement deliberate, eyes calm and steady. The cathedral seemed to exhale, releasing the weight of fear and regret. He looked toward the woman, who nodded subtly, her silent approval affirming his growth. Michael felt the first true sense of clarity and peace he had experienced in years. Shadows lingered in corners, but they no longer commanded him. The journey ahead remained uncertain, yet he now faced it with courage and understanding. Whispering to himself, he said, "I am ready." And for the first time, the past, present, and future felt aligned within him, a tapestry of lessons and hope. Michael walked through the quiet city streets at dawn, the first light softening the edges of buildings and pavement. The weight of fear and doubt had lifted, leaving a calm clarity in its place. He noticed details he had missed before, the way sunlight glinted off windows, the gentle sway of leaves, and the quiet rhythm of life around him. Memories of his past still lingered, but they no longer carried judgment. Instead, they served as reminders of lessons learned. He felt a deep gratitude for the woman who had guided him silently, and for the faithful guide who had shown him patience and wisdom. Each step forward felt intentional, grounded, and filled with purpose. Michael paused at a small park, observing children laughing and playing. Their joy seemed contagious, reminding him of innocence and hope. He realized that embracing life required acknowledging both mistakes and kindness, pain and beauty. The woman appeared briefly at the edge of the park, her gaze gentle and approving. Michael smiled softly, understanding that guidance often comes without words, and that true insight resides in perception and acceptance. The city felt alive, interconnected, and welcoming, as if it had shifted to mirror his internal peace. Sitting on a bench, Michael reflected on the journey he had endured. He recalled the chapel, the alley, and the cathedral, each a step toward understanding and acceptance. He thought of the antagonist, not as an enemy, but as a reflection of fear and doubt he had learned to integrate. Each memory brought insight, and each insight offered freedom. Michael whispered to himself, "I am ready to live fully." Around him the city hummed with life, a gentle symphony of human experience, and for the first time he felt aligned with both his inner self and the world beyond. A gentle breeze stirred leaves at Michael's feet, reminding him of life's constant motion. He noticed a street musician playing a soft melody nearby, the sound weaving into the rhythm of his heart. Michael understood that redemption and clarity are not endpoints, but ongoing processes. He had confronted darkness, embraced truth, and now moved forward with awareness. The woman's presence, though silent, lingered in his memory, a reminder that guidance often comes from the quietest sources. Michael stood, shoulders straight, and inhaled deeply, ready to continue life with courage, honesty, and empathy. As the sun rose higher, Michael walked with steady, deliberate steps through the awakening city. Each sound, shadow, and light shift seemed purposeful, mirroring his own inner balance. The journey had changed him. Fear, doubt, and regret no longer held dominion. He felt a profound connection to life, others, and himself. The woman's final presence lingered as a quiet blessing, a silent acknowledgement of his growth. Michael's heart swelled with clarity, acceptance, and a readiness for the challenges and joys that lay ahead. He whispered softly, "I am whole," stepping forward into a future shaped by awareness, compassion, and truth. Michael arrived at a quiet rooftop, overlooking the city at dusk. The sky painted with amber and violet, reflecting the journey he had endured. He felt a profound stillness, a moment suspended between past and future. The woman appeared beside him, her presence subtle yet undeniable. No words were exchanged, yet Michael felt her acknowledgement and approval. He understood that the journey was not about answers, but about awareness. Every memory, every confrontation, every insight had led to this silent clarity. Michael breathed deeply, feeling the rhythm of the world align with his own heart, a symphony of acceptance and awakening. Michael knelt briefly, placing his hands on the cold rooftop surface, grounding himself in the present. Memories of past mistakes and moments of grace mingled in his mind. The city lights flickered below like stars, each one a reminder of connection, imperfection, and growth. He realized that redemption was not a single act, but a continuous process. The woman's silent presence served as a guidepost, showing him the power of observation, reflection, and acceptance. Michael felt a deep gratitude for the journey and the lessons it brought, understanding that life's mysteries were not threats, but invitations to awareness. Standing once more, Michael turned slowly to face the horizon. The antagonist was nowhere to be seen. Shadows lingered only as subtle reminders of past struggles. Michael felt the presence of the faithful guide, and the silent strength of the woman echoing within him. Every step he had taken, every fear faced, had contributed to this newfound balance. He smiled softly, embracing imperfections, acknowledging past choices, and welcoming the future with openness. The rooftop felt infinite, the sky vast, and he knew he was part of a larger rhythm, a tapestry of experiences and wisdom extending beyond himself. Michael closed his eyes briefly, feeling wind brush his face, carrying distant sounds of life, laughter, music, footsteps. He understood that spiritual clarity is both quiet and dynamic, residing not in perfection, but in awareness and compassion. The woman's final presence shimmered faintly, as though the universe itself acknowledged his growth. Michael felt a gentle confidence, a quiet strength that came from integrating every part of himself. In silence he whispered, "I see, I am ready," and for the first time past, present and future felt woven into a cohesive living pattern that he could navigate with purpose and grace. As night fully settled, Michael took a final step back from the edge of the rooftop, gazing at the city below. The lights twinkled like stars, each reflecting moments of life, connection, and learning. The woman's presence faded gently, leaving only the impression of guidance and insight. Michael exhaled deeply, feeling whole and aligned, understanding that the journey of awareness and spiritual clarity is ongoing. With one final glance at the horizon, he turned and walked forward into the streets below, carrying the lessons, revelations, and peace he had earned, ready to face whatever came next with courage, wisdom, and openness.